You think you know how your team got to this World Cup? You don't. Neither does the guy next to you confidently explaining it. That's not an insult. It's by design. 211 nations entered this race, 48 survived. The other 90% disappeared into a 3-year maze of politics, rankings, and quiet backroom deals nobody puts on television. Pundits fake their way through it. Fans nod along. You're about to stop nodding. Here is exactly how it works. And once you know it, you will never watch qualifying the same way again. The World Cup is not one competition. It is 6. FIFA splits the planet into 6 confederations: Europe, South America, Africa, Asia, North and Central America, and Oceania. Each one runs its own qualifying tournament, separately, simultaneously, for nearly 3 years. The tournament you're watching right now is just the finish line where 6 different races collide. Here's the part that breaks people's assumptions. The number of spots each confederation gets has almost nothing to do with fairness. Europe has 55 nations and gets 16 direct tickets. Africa has 54 nations, nearly the same size, and gets 9. South America has only 10 nations total and still gets 6. That allocation was built decades ago around television revenue and historical success, and it barely moves. Change threatens money. Money wins every time. Now, the part nobody shows you on TV, what happens at the edges? South America runs the most brutal road in football. 10 teams, 18 matches, altitude in Bolivia, heat in the Amazon, and no safety net for anyone outside the top 6. Africa runs pure knockout, survive, advance, or go home, with seeding decided entirely by FIFA's ranking points. And whatever spots are left over from every confederation get funneled into one final Intercontinental playoff. Different regions, different football cultures, one match. A team that survived 3 brutal years of South American qualifying can lose its very last ticket to a team that flew in from Oceania the week before. It happens. Whether that feels fair to you is irrelevant. It happens anyway. Here's the twist that exposes the whole illusion. Qualifying does not measure who is actually good. It measures who survived their neighborhood. A team can cruise through a weak region without ever facing a single top 20 opponent. A genuinely excellent team can get buried in a stacked group and miss the tournament completely. And the seeding that decides those groups isn't random. It comes from FIFA rankings, and rankings can be quietly nudged upward by scheduling soft friendlies before the draw. Legal, common. Almost nobody talks about it. Now zoom in on this exact tournament. 48 teams, the largest field in World Cup history. Africa's allocation nearly doubled. Asia's nearly doubled. Oceania, after decades of never getting a guaranteed spot, finally has one outright, no playoff required. And 3 teams in this tournament skip the entire 3-year gauntlet completely. The United States, Mexico, and Canada qualified the moment they were announced as hosts, years before a single qualifier kicked off. Remember that 90% that vanished at the start of this video? That's what you just watched happen, in slow motion across 3 years on 6 continents. So here's the whole maze, collapsed into one shape. 6 confederations, 6 separate wars. Spots handed out by history and money, not fairness. The leftovers settled by playoffs between strangers. Seeding quietly shaped by rankings, teams know how to game. Hosts walking in for free, and 48 teams left standing. Not necessarily the best on the planet, but the ones who survived their particular corner of it. The game has not changed. You have. You're welcome. Subscribe if you enjoyed this type of content. It means a lot.